What is up? I hope you guys are having a great morning. Today, I am honored to have my other sister with me on the podcast. And we're in a little bit of a different setting because I'm in Florida visiting them. So if the mics sound worse than normal, it's on my end. So don't worry, it's not yours. Since Elise is the middle child, like the middle child does, she always was the peacemaker between Lauren and me because when we were kids, we would fight. And I mean, we got vicious like nails and teeth marks and all and Lauren and I never really grew our nails out, but Elise did. So whenever we would fight, it was like that was her defense, was the nails. And she's not as bad as I'm saying. I'm just saying with kids that was a lot. But like I mentioned in one of the episodes, I couldn't have asked for better siblings to grow up with, aside from the fights we got in, because all siblings fight. I'm so grateful that they were kind enough to let their little sister tag along, and that made me feel so included, and I'm so glad that they're allowing me to tag along still. So, without further ado, please welcome Elise to the podcast.
What is up, my guys?
So, question of the day. What was the most interesting thing that happened to you when you worked at Chick-fil-A?
Oh, you sprung this one on me. Oh, probably when we had to stop the whole drive-through because somebody had a Sasquatch strapped to the top of their car, but it was like, I guess it wasn't strapped, it was bolted down, so we had to stop the entire drive-through at lunch rush for him to find his tools and
I don't remember this story.
Unscrew the Sasquatch off the top of his car because he couldn't back out because there was a long line behind him and he couldn't fit under the tent.
The awning thing,
Yeah,
or the tent?
the awning and the tent.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So he was just stuck there, and so a giant Sasquatch was
How
messing
big
up
was it?
everybody's sandwiches and giving them cold fries.
Oh,
It was like,
that's terrible.
it was probably like 2 or 3 feet, but it was off the top of a car.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Why
That's
would
funny.
someone have that and think they could go through a drive-through? Like,
Because they're dum-dums. Or maybe they forgot about it.
How did you forget
I think he
about
forgot
it?
that he had the Sasquatch up there. I think it was just like a decoration for his car and he just forgot.
Oh, that's crazy. I know that when they would work at Chick-fil-A, they would come home and they'd be like, somebody called Polynesian sauce pedestrian sauce today because nobody knew actually how to say the word. And then they'd call it pomegranate sauce. And
Yeah, I thought that I saw weird things at work there, but wait till you work at like a camp, like a summer camp. Then you hear some really crazy stuff. Like literally last week, I went to the bathroom and I was about to open the bathroom stall, and this kid
oh no.
just goes, excuse me, I dropped my minor prophet. Could you please hand that to me? And I was like, what? And I looked down, there's this little figurine of Jesus. And I was like, wrong and what? So I was like, what in the world? Your minor prophet? And so I was like, yeah, sure. And I gave it to her.
That's so awkward though.
Yeah,
Like,
and
that's
I've
so
heard some other
awkward.
wild things. Summer camp is wild, so.
Well, yeah. So, do you want to tell them, like, and we'll get serious in a second, but do you want to tell them what happened yesterday at the volleyball court?
I got slammed in the head with a volleyball.
She got
I'm
hit
pretty sure
hard.
I may have gotten a concussion.
So,
Okay, I've actually had 2 concussions before, like, actually. Like, I had, like, flashes of light, the headaches, and the dizziness, and, like, all that.
But we gotta tell them what happened. So we were going into her work. She had to grab something out of her office, and there was summer camp going on. So when we were walking by the volleyball court, all of a sudden I hear this really loud smack, and I mean it like sounded like the dodgeball hitting the pavement. Like it was bad. And then I look over at her. And she's just staring into the abyss, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And she didn't
There's
move.
hundreds of kids
Yeah,
around.
there's like hundreds
and I'm
of kids
just
around.
stiff.
And everybody was like, "Oh, are you okay?" And I was just looking at her like, "Are you good?" And she was like, "I need to go get something from my office." And I was like,
And I get in the car, Ani, and I had sweetener, like drink sweetener in my pocket. I don't remember grabbing that.
"You don't?"
No.
I don't remember seeing you grab
I don't either.
because then she started acting weird because we grabbed her stuff from the office, and then she was like, "I gotta go ask Steven a question." And I was like, "Who is Steven?" And so she was like, "I guess I gotta go ask him a question." And I was like, "Okay." And so I follow her around, and then this guy, and she was like talking to him like, "Hey, can you get a concussion from this blah blah blah?" And he's like,
Well,
"Yeah."
he plays a lot of volleyball, so I was like, he would know if it's even possible to get a concussion from volleyball.
Yeah, well, I was confused because I don't know everybody at your work. So when you were like Steven, I was like, "Who is Steven?" Like you were telling me, and you were freaking me out too because you were not talking like normal. It was weird.
Yeah.
So, anyways, aside from that, we're actually gonna get a little bit serious now. Our topic for today is waiting for the one, which is I think it's a hard topic to talk about because I myself am kind of struggling in the waiting period, even though yes, I am very young. So for all the adults out there, y'all are like, "Oh, you're just a youngster." Well, it's still the thing that's like it's a problem that I still think about, and I talk about it, and
Waiting
so
for what?
waiting for the right person. I
Mm,
will clarify that.
like
Yes.
like your soulmate, your
Clarification.
person in
My
life,
soulmate.
your other
Yeah.
half, your yeah. I was gonna say something else, but I feel like that's a little woke of me to say, so I won't say that. Keep going.
Um
Sorry
so
if you hear my cup. I keep drinking it, and sometimes it makes a little sound. So I'm sorry if you hear that on the speaker. I'm trying not to. Go
well,
ahead.
just like you keep begging it across the table. Um but in the waiting period, you know how some people can get kind of like depressed that they feel like they will never find their person because either one, they just aren't comfortable in their own skin or like, confident enough to go talk to somebody, or two, the person won't come and talk to them.
Yeah, well, it's
So
very valid to like want to know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like it's very valid for you to be a little uneasy when you're not sure like who am I supposed to spend my life with, like
mhm.
spend 50, 60, 70 years with like when you don't know who it is. Like it's super duper valid to be like a little anxious about it and want to know, you know? So I
Yeah.
don't want you to feel bad about you or other people like wondering, you know?
Yeah, no. Um how do would you bleh, I cannot speak words, y'all. How do you get out of that depression or like sad feeling that everyone around you is finding their person and you just feel kind of left out or left
Mm-hmm.
behind?
I guess honestly, fearing something and really trying to avoid something is only going to make it worse. So don't fear that sadness that you have. Like like I said, it's completely valid to wonder and want to know, and you have to acknowledge that. Like, yes, you crave that because you were made that way. You were made God made us to be with another person. So you have to understand that it's okay for you to want that. Like that is okay. But then also once you've understood it and you've acknowledged it, it's not scary anymore. Like, okay, I want to be with somebody. I'm admit it myself, but then also it doesn't change the fact that you have to wait
Yeah.
until God is ready for you to be with that person. So you have to like I guess for me, like getting out of that little depressive phase, of sadness, because as you know, Ani, there's, I dated in the past. I won't get into specifics about that, but I dated several people in my past, and then I went like 3 years, I'd
Was it
say.
actually
I
three
think it was
years? I
about
thought it
three.
was like only two.
I think we broke up in 2021.
Well, whenever you were 17,
17, and I'm 20,
two, three,
22. I
two.
just turned
Yeah,
22.
22.
Yeah.
I
So
can't
it's
even
like,
remember my
yeah, I went
sister's
like
age.
Yeah, I went like about 3 years single. And
Okay.
I would say the first year, two, I was I was a little depressed little person. And I don't throw that word around lightly. Like I was very depressed and I was like
It was
trying to
bad.
find friends, trying to find just different things to just give me like that serotonin boost,
Mm-hmm.
because I was in a relationship for a long time and those kind of things, they alter your brain. Like you're used to this person being in your life, and when they're just taken out, it's really hard. Like they're, you can't text them about this exciting thing or this thing that reminds you of them, or your friends that are associated with them. Like a lot of things in life change. So like I had to get over that part at least. And then I kind of went through phases, like being sad about the person, then being accepting and like, okay, I'm really glad that this ended how it did. I'm really glad that the Lord led me to that decision, you know, and then being sad that I'm alone, and I remember that phase and just kind of craving it because I was used to it. Like, I just want that person. I don't care who it is. I just want that person. And that's kind of a dangerous place to be in because then that's when you like compromise a little bit. And like, you're like, I just want I want a person. And you just kind of want
And you
anybody,
start letting yourself like I don't know, you start letting yourself kind of fall a little bit, like you
Mm-hmm.
don't care as much about you. Like
Yeah,
as long
you
as you
let
get
some
that
guard
one, yeah,
down.
you let your guard down, and as long as
Um,
you get that one person, you'll be happy.
yeah, I would say in that phase, you literally, like, something that helps me in particular is thinking, will I be happy what I'm doing right now in a year? Like, a year from now, am I gonna look back on this and be like, okay, am I proud of this? You know, or like, am I gonna wish right now, like, I wish I had done X, Y, Z, you know? So, like, in that time, just think about your future self. You know, it doesn't matter how long it is, it doesn't matter if it's 10, 15, 20 years or never, that you find a person, be the person you want you to be in a year or two or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good.
It helps a lot to think about your future self and take care of your future self, build yourself up, you know, because the Lord does, you know, he tells us to take care of our bodies. He tells us to do everything to the best of our ability and to his glory, and we have to do that whether we're with somebody or not, whether we're sad or happy. That's what we're supposed to be doing, you know. So in those moments, I feel like when you're sad and you're depressed about it, just think about that you're preparing for that time. It's not just useless, wasted time. You are preparing for that time because more than likely you're going to get married, you know. And so you are literally creating and shaping yourself and following the Lord for that next step. You're literally working on it. You're working on that foundation already before you've met the person, you know?
And I just thought of something that came to mind. I saw this video where this girl, it was like a girl and a guy, and the guy was asking, like, have you ever asked God for something and he didn't give it to you? And she was like, yeah. Or he's like, are you still waiting for the answer back? And she was like, yeah, but instead of me saying, like, God, I really want my thing, she's like, I prayed, how can you prepare my heart for the thing that I want? Which I think is such a
Mm.
good way to redirect your prayers, because it's like, instead of, saying, well, instead of saying me, like, how do you,
Sorry,
it's,
my cup.
it's a little, it's like you just have a, I don't know, you have a better,
Perspective.
yeah, your
Yeah.
perspective is changed. And I love this verse. It's Psalm 27:14, and it says, wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. And in this verse, King David, who he wrote the book of Psalms, he encourages us to wait on the Lord and know that in the waiting, he will strengthen your heart. And if you pray for contentment, I do believe that God will shift your focus from the person or thing that you want and ultimately give you peace.
Mm-hmm.
My next question for you, because I was
Oh, I want to
curious.
go on something. Wait.
Okay.
Sorry, I got a little bridge. You said if you pray for something, I believe the Lord will get it. And that's very true. But when you pray for something, you have to be prepared to do the work to get it. So,
Mm,
like when the Lord says, or when you, no, when you say to the Lord, please, Lord, give me patience, be prepared to get situations that make you patient.
yeah.
He's going to give you things to, like, I want to be strong and I want to be built. Well, guess what? You have to lift weights to do that. You know, Lord said it's possible to get ripped. You know, it's possible to
It's
get those
possible.
muscles, but you got to go to the gym and you
Yeah,
got to sweat and you got to grind and you got to eat the protein. You got to do the work to get to it.
yeah,
So yeah,
that's so true too, because it's like you said with patience, you're like, God, I want to be patient. Well, he's not just gonna zap you with warm fuzzy feelings. That's not how he works.
exactly.
He's going to give you opportunities to be patient.
Exactly.
So he's not actually
Mm-hmm.
gonna say, okay,
Be
like, here
prepared
you
for
go.
what you're praying
And
for.
like for me, I pray for humility all the time. But I think as of recently, I'm like, Lord, why do you make me get in embarrassing situations where I have to humble myself in front of people? I hate it. But I'm like, but then I'm
But
like,
he's
I feel,
answering my prayer.
yes, but he's answering my prayer. And he's like, well, you asked me for this. So I'm giving you opportunities to work on yourself. And it's like character building, and it's like, it's not 50-50, it's 100% both ways, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but going on to my next question, in the waiting period, what was something you learned about yourself? Like, do you think there was some emotional maturity that you needed to work on, or spiritual maturity in that waiting period? Because did you get a boyfriend when you were like 15? Was it
Oh
15 or
my
was it
gosh.
14?
Well, I mean, we liked each other for a long time from the time I was like 14.
Okay.
And
I
then we
thought
were
so.
like official as we could be at when I turned 16. So,
Okay.
and then things ended when I was like almost 18.
I remember her telling me, she was like, I was excited because, like I said, I'm the younger sibling, so I was excited to, get into the teenage years, turning 16, 17, blah blah blah. And she just looks at me and she goes, 17 was the worst year of my life. And I was like, and I was like, wow. I was like, thanks for making me feel so excited for 17. Like,
Hey, but guess what? Everybody told me that 17 would be the best year of my life.
lies.
Yeah. So you just don't compare and just live your little life and
It was just
just
so funny because
see what happens.
I was like this 12-year-old person, and you were like, oh, 17's terrible. And I was like, okay. I wasn't used to hearing negative stuff,
Yeah.
so, but,
My bad. Sorry, I crushed your hopes and dreams.
no, I think it's good, and I'm going on a little rabbit trail, and we will come back to this question, but, I think it's good for you to just be honest with a person instead of just sugarcoating everything, because you will learn eventually. So you just kind of have to
Yeah.
ease them into it. Like, you're gonna have problems,
Yeah.
when you get older. But like I said, did you feel like there was some emotional maturity that
Oh
you?
yeah, we got on a whole rabbit trail.
Yeah,
Can you
we
read the
went.
question again?
Sure. In the waiting period, like, what was something you learned about yourself, like with emotional maturity or spiritual maturity, that you felt like you have definitely worked on since then, or you
Um,
learned?
I think that because I was young and it lasted so long, that relationship that I had really kind of stunted me figuring out who I was. And I feel like I just, like, my happiness relied on if I was with that person or if that person was being nice or if I was able to be around them or talk to them or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like my worth completely relied on what that person was doing with me or what they thought. And that was such a miserable place to be in. Because after that, the thing that I feel like I grew in emotionally, like you asked, was like I learned how to be happy like myself, like I wasn't relying on a person or whatever. Like I really enjoyed family time a lot more after that. I enjoyed getting to know a lot of people. Like I made the most friends I've ever made a year after that happened, like when I went to college. Or no, really only a couple months after we broke up, I made my best friend, Like randomly signed up for softball and I met a ton of friends and then I went to college, like that was when my little life started, was after we broke up, And I think that the Lord really taught me to be happy with what I am given. Like not to be running after this thing that I want really bad, but like to be happy with what I have and what is placed in front of me. That was something I definitely learned and I'm still learning, but like it's been super duper relevant in my life lately. Um, One of my best friends, you know who it um, is very, a very, very positive person. I only met her a couple years ago, but she was honestly one of the like most influential people on me, like spiritually and literally figuring out who I was, because she was so mature and always directed me to the Lord and scripture and positivity and taking care of herself, and that was so encouraging to see. And I was, oh man, we're like literally my whole life was just changed, like meeting her and being around her. And she taught me so much about just being happy literally with just what you have. And God really did place her in my life, because that was the biggest thing I learned, was just kind of being happy on my own and really taking each opportunity to be happy and praising the Lord, even if it's just small,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, and I love that you were able to just, like, God sent you a really good friend, because, like, I remember the first episode, like, it said, Lena, like, I'm getting my words mixed up. Like, it was, like, when we were talking about, the importance of good friendship, because you found one of your best friends, and if she had not been, spiritually grounded and, mature in that aspect, it was like you probably wouldn't have grown the way that you did, in those few
Yeah.
months. And I love that,
The
because
Lord used that.
yeah, and it's like this little story that you have now that you can share and whatnot. And I have a question about, like, when you got out of the whole feeling terrible about yourself, like, kind of getting past that little depression hump, or, whatnot.
Little
Did you
depression
look
hump.
back and you realized, like, that was not good for me? Or did you
Yeah.
kind of just, like, what was
I
your
don't
feelings
even know
about looking back?
how I got out of that. Honestly, just the Lord, because I kind of found identity in it. I was so used to being sad and disappointed about whatever, like literally if it had to do with the person or the fact that I wasn't with the person anymore, or I was just so negative all the time. And then I found identity. I didn't know anything else other than that. And I don't even remember when the switch was. Honestly, I think the very biggest switch was like over 2 years later when I met her. When she just literally was, I call her, I know this is so basic, but I literally call her my sunshine friend. She is just so positive and always just like, well, this person means the best, and oh, I love doing this, and it's just so much fun. It's literally just going and walking together. We're like, oh my word, we should make coffee and go watch the sunrise, and that was just like our favorite thing to do, and do devotions together. Like it just changed my world to think like that, because she was just so happy and so beautiful and smiling. I was just like, oh, I want that, and so the Lord definitely used her to just get me out of that
Yeah,
phase.
and you like when you have someone like that, it's like you aspire to be like them. So that makes you want to work harder for what they have because you're like, if they can have it, then I can have it too. Like that is a possibility. And I don't know if this ties into anything that we just said, so I'm sorry if this makes no sense, but I think it goes well with what we were just talking about. But Proverbs 3:5 and 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths." And I really like that because in the middle it says, "Lean not on your own understanding." And if you think about it, when you lean on your own understanding, how has that worked out for you? Like, I just
Exactly.
literally just I want to ask you a simple question: how has that worked out for you? Like, have you been
Not
hurt?
good.
Have you been hurt more? Like, did
Yeah.
you go through more depression? Did you, it was like, I just want to ask you, like, how did it go for you? And it says trust in the Lord because the Lord, first of all, he created us. Second of all, he knows how many hairs are on our head. So he would know exactly what is good for us and what we need. And he's the one who created our emotions. So he even knows what, like, what am I trying to say? Like, he knows what's best for us, is what I'm trying to make a point here. Like, he knows everything. And even though it's really hard to see that because I'm still trying to see that, um, I have kind of already learned that he really does know what he's doing. And I saw this girl do this video, and it was so convicting for me because she said, God has the perfect track record, but we trust him the least. And I was like,
Dang, that's bars
I know.
though.
I was like, oh my goodness, really? I was like, that is so convicting for me because
That
it's
is
like you
bars.
literally you don't trust him when he's literally done nothing wrong, but you trust the people that are, we're sinful human beings. So you trust the people that will break your heart and run all over you, and you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
I
I
trust them
literally
more.
love
Like,
that part where you're like, the part that you said, golly, I can't friggin' speak, dude.
I can't speak either.
Lean not on understanding. I know I sound like a preacher, but I'm not. Anyways, yeah, newsflash, I'm not a preacher. I'm just kidding. I'm a lifeguard instructor. Okay, anyways. Um, lean not on your understanding. Because obviously I didn't know why I had to go through this breakup that I thought was the absolute end of the world. But guess what? That was leading me to go to this school, to go to this school, to change this major, to learn, to meet this person, to go to this work, to meet the freaking love of my life. Anyways, yeah,
Anyways,
literally met the love of my life at work. You cannot lean on your own understanding because you have no idea what the Lord's doing. I went through the
amen.
freaking worst time of my life to get led to blah 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 blah, all the way to the person I'm gonna spend my life with, and it was because of each of those little stepping stones, and I had no idea why,
Yeah.
but it leads
It,
you to where you're supposed to be.
yeah, and it works. I do believe that everything that God puts you through has a purpose. So when you went through that breakup, there was a reason for it because then you grew through it and you found. Sorry, I can't even pronounce the word. How do you say it?
Circle.
Circle. Yeah, it's those circle cups, and I actually really want one.
They're
But
yummy.
yeah,
Makes me drink lots of water.
that's good though. But anyways, going back to the question.
Anyway.
I I do believe like I said a second ago, everything that you go through does have a purpose. Even if you feel like it's pointless, it really does. God works all things together for good. And I think when you talk about the waiting period, it's what's the waiting part of it is what scares the people, because in the waiting they feel like they won't find anybody because they feel the waiting is taking too long,
Mhm.
and their patience their patience is starting to be tried. And yes.
I would say it's so cool. I love that this is kind of like the little title, right? Or the little subject of our talk is the waiting. But if you think about it differently, it's not a waiting. Like your life is about glorifying the Lord. And if you like think about your life just by yourself, nobody else, just you and the Lord, that's your life. And somebody else, you look beside you and somebody else is following God with you, and y'all merge. It's not about waiting for that person. Your life doesn't start when you get that person. Like your life has already started and you're already going. You're already stepping on those stepping stones, those decisions, those big life things. You're stepping stones. And meeting your person, it's going to be bigger, but it's still just going to be a stepping stone towards glorifying God and being with God in the end. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, don't even think about it as this pointless time that you're sitting around waiting for something. Like, you are building a foundation, yes, for that relationship with a person, but you, from the time you were born, were building a relationship. Well, I guess when you got saved, but when you were born, you were leading up to getting saved, and that's when, your life is beginning with the Lord, and then that's your whole purpose is God and your relationship with him and glorifying him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And my really good friend, she sent me this once, and it said, "Dance with God until He lets someone step in." And
yeah, that's
I was just
cute.
like, it might sound really cringy, but to me, it really made an impression on me, because I was like, that is so true. Because it's like pretty much what Elise just said. Like, it's you and God. This is your life. Like, this is, it's just you and Him, and y'all
Mm-hmm.
are constantly talking. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, this is y'all are going through life together.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt encouraged by that, because I was like, that made me realize, like, my focus shifted, and I was like, okay, I need to have, like, I need to be with God right
Mm-hmm.
now. Like, this is,
Yeah.
he hasn't let anybody step in yet. So
Mm-hmm.
clearly either he knows that I'm not ready, or I just need to wait a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
until I get to that point. How would you encourage someone who is like in the waiting season, who just needs to be reminded that God's got them, and they don't have to get into a relationship like hastily because they feel like they've been waiting for a while?
Well, I guess I would say yes, it's valid to be ready and to want it. Totally understandable. Um, but just use this time to reflect and be happy about the things that you have. Because, like, yes, there's a lot of things to be happy about, but also there's things that you won't get to have anymore, or like things that will change when you have a significant other. Like you give and take when you're before a relationship and after a relationship. So just enjoy it all because like things will get a little more complicated in certain areas, you're going to be a little more emotional. You're going to be like, there's a lot of things about it that are more work. So when you're single, you've got freedom to just, I could literally move to Washington State right now if I wanted to. And you could,
Like,
you
what's
know?
stopping you?
Like, you literally could if you wanted to. Like, as long as you have the money, go for it? But like when you get married, it's like, okay, I need to align with this other person's plans. If they want to do this, if they have finances to do this, if this is what their life like, it's like it's not bad things, but like enjoy those freedoms that you have because you have something that I don't. Yes, I have something you don't, but you also have something that I don't, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
She's saying this because she's getting married, and
I'm
is it
getting
in a
married in
month or less
August
than
and
a
I'm
month?
yes, I'm super excited. I hope that didn't sound negative. I was just trying
No.
to point out the good things about
Yeah.
singleness because it's great.
Yeah.
But also being in a relationship is wonderful too.
Yes.
So,
And it's funny because we're actually gonna get to this in a
month
second,
and a half, baby.
but she and her fiance, he doesn't have a car yet, so whenever can she, like, and Elise does, so he'll say, "Oh, I drove our car around."
Yeah. I'm like,
And
excuse me, I worked hard for this thing and I
it's
paid it
the
off.
it's
And I'm
the
like,
R that she
excuse
doesn't
me.
like.
I'm kidding. All jokes, all jokes. It's all jokes.
No,
It's just
and
funny.
yes, it's just a funny thing that happens, and I remember her talking about it, and I was like, really?
It's my car. I'm just
I
kidding.
mean, you did, to be valid. You did pay for it, so
It's a joke.
it's a joke. It's just a joke. Um, kind of honestly going into, like, not necessarily marriage, but like talking about when you're in a relationship, red flags, because I think for me it's kind of confusing, because sometimes when somebody does something, or when a guy does something that reminds you that they're just a man, they're not
Mhm.
anybody special,
Mhm.
because for the first few months of your dating or whenever liking stage or talking stage, it's like, they're trying everything to um
Win you
impress
over.
you or win you over, and then they do something that's stupid. Like, how do you deal with something like that where you feel like everything's been going great up until this moment and he does something dumb and then you're just like, oh, like
Well, it
how do you discern
depends.
between?
Oh, like whether it should end or if
Yeah,
it should
yeah,
just okay.
yeah.
That's a really good question, and it definitely like super obvious, but like it's going to come down to like the situation. But like if it's something like this is so hard to answer because there really is no black and white with it, Ani. I would say I have broken up with somebody over a very big, very clear reason before, but I've also broken up with somebody over a lack of peace. Like no specific reason, but just I just didn't have peace about it. So like it could be like this very big defining factor, or it could be just because I was praying and the Lord said no. So like I would say there's no really clear way to know other than this is a very important thing, and it's the main point that you should be following God and He should be the center of your life because He's going to direct you in those ways. Like I think it's crazy that the Lord directed me to break up with someone or to end it with somebody because of not having peace. Like that's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have anything like huge against this person. I thought that they looked nice. I thought they were funny. I thought they were sweet. I thought they had a good family. Like we got along great, but I just had this weird feeling like I was praying so hard. I was really close to God. Like at that time I was really really close to the Lord because I had just been like lonely and crying out, and I was really on fire for the Lord, and I was praying like, God, please show me if I need to do this or not because I really don't want to go through another big old heartbreak. I was like, Lord, is this the person? Should I keep going out with this person? And I just had this weird unrest, and I was like, well, that's my answer. Like I don't feel the peace of the Lord with this, and I prayed for it. If I was supposed to have it, that I would have it. If not, then I wouldn't. And I didn't. And so I broke it off. And I'm so glad I did because then I wouldn't have had my man. And he's so sweet all the time.
Yeah.
um,
And we're not saying that it's like if you're in a relationship and you're praying about it, or even if you're not and you just feel an unrest, like it's hard. It's hard to just, like Elise said, because she didn't have any problems with the person
mm-hmm,
personally or his family. Like there was nothing wrong. It's just there was something off.
mm-hmm.
The balance wasn't, there wasn't
Yeah.
a perfect balance. And it it is hard because you don't want to let go of
Yeah,
it.
honestly, just in those situations, just make sure that you're praying and you are open to whatever the Lord has. Like, if you're like, is this guy? And you need to be open for the fact that it could not be, or that it could be. You have to be open and humble and have that person in your hands open, not holding on to it, but like open, like, Lord, I like this person, I love this person, whatever. But you can take him if you need to, because he is not your idol.
Mm-hmm.
God is your God, and he's the one that matters, and that person is already his anyways. So,
Very true. Very true. And I think our parents have always taught this to us, and they've drilled it into my head recently. I don't know why. When your parents just start like
they get
saying
on a
stuff to
little.
you that I'm like, why? Where did this come from? And I love them. But they said never put your boyfriend or your spouse, or either your best friend. Honestly, this could go for anything, any category of your life,
Anyone.
but never put them on a pedestal because they're human and they're going to disappoint you.
Mm-hmm.
And God will never put you, like, never disappoint you. So it's like you can always trust that God's never going to let you down, but never put someone above God because,
Mm-hmm. You will be
you
disappointed.
will be disappointed.
You don't
And
want your life to shatter when they
yeah,
mess up because they're going to. They
yeah.
can't be your number one. God has to be your number one.
Which I feel like would be hard for me because, I feel like hopefully I have the mindset that when I go into a relationship that, God is at the head of it all. But I feel like for someone who's never had a boyfriend and they finally get one, they're gonna start wanting to put that
Mm-hmm.
person above,
Yeah.
God because they finally have it, and you feel like, oh, it's an answered prayer. And I
My
remember,
life has begun.
yes, and I remember seeing this thing that said, "Don't forget God when you get what you prayed for."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that is so true, because I think a lot of times, even I can't really think of stories in the Bible, but even people in the Bible, they forgot God and all that He had done for them, and they just started putting other people on their pedestal, and it just
It's
all,
just what we do.
yeah,
Why?
don't know. I
Don't do it.
don't do it. Yeah, and I'm speaking, and like every
Talking to
single
myself.
episode, I'm speaking to myself because I'm still learning and I'm still struggling. So I'm speaking
Facts, facts.
completely to myself. I mean, even Elise is still learning.
Yes, I am.
We're
She
all
asked me, she was like, beforehand, she was like, I want to talk about this. And I was like, girl, I don't even know still.
yeah, she
She
did.
was like, well, you can just talk on, like, you can verbally process it. And I was like, that's true, but I don't know what's going on either. I was like, I'll do my best, but I'll tell you what I've learned and what I'm learning, but we're
Yes,
all always going to learn till the day we die.
very true.
You get advice from people that are still learning,
Oh, yeah, yeah, for sure.
Crazy.
Well, I hope you guys have learned something from this. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you, Elise, for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for being a part of our little ramble,
And rabbit trails and
yeah.
yada yada yada. But
ramble
anyways,
sesh,
yes,
sisters.
yes. But anyways, you guys stay tuned.